Jeff Lanza is a former special agent for the FBI. He joins us now from Kansas City, Missouri. Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
So investigators speaking with the accused gunman say that he contemplated carrying out a second attack, another July 4th parade with an additional weapon that he had in his car. Quite a chilling prospect that this 21-year-old was armed to the hilt. He had another 60 rounds left. And the fact that he could have just done it again.
This is extremely chilling, Linda. In fact, we know we have a confession. The investigation is going to be gathering additional evidence to build a prosecutable case. But what came out in the confession was his anticipated actions after what happened in Highland Park, that he was planning another attack. And as you just mentioned, he had more rounds for that attack. This is very scary that that he had planned this. And what we don't know, or investigators at least have not released to the public, is why he didn't go to Wisconsin and commit that attack. And that's important information to know as well. But it certainly is very scary to know that not only did he undertake this attack with all the weapons that he had and the ammunition that he was planning to carry it out in another location. Very scary and chilling indeed.
Exactly. He has been charged over this massacre, but we now know from authorities that he had threatened to kill his own family in September 2019. Police were caught at the time. 3 months later, his father signed an affidavit which helped his son buy weapons. Is it possible, Jeff, that his father could face charges for aiding and abetting?
So that's up to individual prosecutors in the jurisdiction where that occurred. And so far, they haven't made any comments about that. And legally, it's still up in the air on whether his father could be charged. But Linda, the focus from many perspectives now will be on his ability to obtain the weapons, given, as you mentioned, his previous encounters with law enforcement and his issues with the comments he made about suicide and people reporting that to law enforcement, and that knives were taken away from him, but somehow were given to his family, and then he was able to, within about a year, according to reports, buy these assault weapons. So this is something that we have to look at closely. Was this overlooked in this regard? Was the law overlooked in this regard, or did the law fail us in this regard? That's going to be the focus of part of the investigation.
And we also heard from a couple who looked after 2-year-old Aiden McCarthy, whose parents were both shot and killed during that July 4th massacre in Illinois. They spoke to my colleague Anderson Cooper. Let's just take a listen to what they had to say.
There are damaged people walking around our society who need help. I feel empathy for them. We need to find a way to help them. I know that they should not have access to AR-15 machine guns. Our children of all communities are being shot at. It has to stop.
Jeff, what would work to reduce the number of massacres in the US right now? If you were meeting with lawmakers, what would you propose?
Well, one of the focuses has to be on people that have psychological issues and keeping guns out of the hands of those people. There's been talk about that. There's been certain laws passed in various jurisdictions about that. But there hasn't been enough on a universal level in the United States to prevent these type of weapons, and really any type of weapons, getting in the hands of people that that have mental issues. And that one thing alone has not been addressed fully in the United States. Aside from all the constitutional issues and the right to bear arms, that issue alone has not been fully figured out. And I think that's a great starting point for not only the states, but the country as a whole.
Exactly. It's crucial. Jeff Lanza, a former special agent for the FBI, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Well, a new report details missed opportunities and mistakes in the police response to the mass shooting at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. 19 students and 2 teachers were killed in that massacre back in May. The report says police officers had two possible chances to stop the gunman before he entered the school. First, an officer sped through the parking lot without seeing the gunman. Then a different officer spotted the gunman and got him in the sights of his rifle. But in the time it took him to ask his supervisor for permission to take the shot, the gunman had already entered the school. And once inside the school, it took over an hour for police to finally stop him. A teacher who was wounded in the attack managed to survive by playing dead. All 11 children in his classroom were killed. He spoke with our Shimon Prokupecz about the horrors of that day.
I started seeing like the sheetrock fly off the walls and stuff like that. And that's when I had told my kids, I don't know what it is, but let's get under the table.
Arnie Reyes was the only survivor from classroom 111 at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas. After a month in the hospital, 10 surgeries from bullet wounds to his arm and back, he is finally back home and talking about the day that ripped so many lives apart.
I was getting the kids under the table. I turned around, and when I turned around, I saw him, but I just saw like the shadow. And that's when I saw the two, like the fire. And then I ended up on the ground as well.
And so you get hit and you go down. Mm-hmm. And what's going on in your mind at that time?
I'm just thinking and waiting for somebody to come and save us. You always think, you know, something bad is happening, that the cops get there so fast. They rush in and they help you, you know. And I was just waiting for that. I was waiting for anybody to come save us.
We now know it would be a long and agonizing 74 minutes before police would enter Reyes' classroom to kill the gunman.
He did a lot of things to make me flinch or react in some way. And that was one of them, where he like got my, like, as I'm laying down, like either like this or like this, tapping it, but it was splashing on my face.
The blood.
Yeah.
Was he trying to see if you were still alive?
I think so.
You're laying there for over an hour, right? And no one's coming to help. What do you think of that?
That they forgot us. I mean, they probably thought that we were all dead or something, but if they would have gone in before, some of them probably would have made it.
It's a question many are struggling with as precious seconds tick by. Could lives have been saved if officers acted sooner? 19 students and 2 teachers would lose their lives that day. The subject of multiple ongoing investigations, it's being called one of the biggest law enforcement failures in recent memory. Officers feet away on the other side of the door.
A lot of the law enforcement failed because they take that oath to protect. I was in there to protect the kids, but I had no bullet vest or bulletproof vest or any tactical gear that they use, and they had everything.
When did you realize that the children that were around you were dead or were not going to make it?
After they shot him, and the Border Patrol said, "Anybody get up? Let's go, you know, like, try to get the kids out." Nobody moved but me. And then somebody else said, "There's children under here." The children were dead under the table. But there was nothing I could do about it. Just so
Your children?
Yeah, my children.
Shimon Prokupecz, CNN, Uvalde, Texas.